the Space 1999 Mattel Eagle 1 playset upgraded landing gear. I made these to fit inside the holes, just like the actual equipped landing gear. Now, these they don't have a suspension that works. They're static. But as you can see, the appearance is dramatic. The difference in holding it up. And I've also got the actual landing feet for the pod on here too. Here is a look of it. From the bottom view, or from the profile view. And as you can see, that it raises the eagle up off the ground for I don't know, maybe an inch, which actually that's what it needed to be in the first place. And if you go to Space 1999 Catacombs, they have pictures of the actual filming models. And as you can see right here, there's an apparatus there for stability, I assume. And you can see that the it's like a cross-shaped pad. And here's another close-up here. And this is of the lab pod. And I wanted to talk about that too. As you can see in this picture, the lab pod has no suspension to it. Right here. See, there's a suspension there. The lab pod doesn't have that suspension. It's just this regular pad without the suspension. And it's actually about 50% smaller too, which means that the lab pod pad right there is actually the one the toy comes with is actually pretty close to being right. So if you had the lab pod, your stock feet that came with the Eagle playset is actually pretty accurate. I could shrink these down to 50% version for the lab pod if someone wanted me to. As you can see, there's a size difference between here and there. It's about 50% smaller. And then even in this one, this is the Eagle 3, I think. There were different lab pods for different Eagles. These are square. They're not even the cross shape. So it varied from Eagle to Eagle. So getting worried about that, and here's the square ones again, is not something that, is conducive. Just as long as it looks right. And you can see right here, my upgraded ones that I made for the regular pod are right here. And then with these in conjunction with my upgraded ones, this Eagle is going to look pretty darn accurate. So as you can see, with these upgraded ones that are supposed to go with the regular pod, and then these upgraded ones, it's a dramatic difference from the stock toy parts. And the door, it goes ahead and it opens up. It won't go all the way down, but well, yeah, it does. I'm sorry. It goes almost all the way down. Now, if we were to put the lab pod on, the door that I have that falls that down, it will go on down to the ground because it raises the eagle up, like I said, about an inch, which is actually what it needed to look more realistic. Because the regular pod, the toy feet, it sits so low to the ground, it's kind of weird. Okay, so I put a lad pod section on, and as you can see, the door still opens up, and it looks fine. It looks fine, ramping up like that. In fact, it probably looks a little bit better. And on the underside, I put the regular feet back on because that's what you're supposed to have with a lab pod, is the regular cross feet, and not the other ones that This goes to the regular pod, and a lab pod has square feet, just like I showed on the video. And this is what I'm talking about, the regular feet. So the ones that came with your Eagle in the first place are appropriate for the lab pod. So it looks pretty good, I do believe, with just the regular stock feet. So here's the difference, of course, between the two. On an interesting side note, notice these cutouts right here. It's almost as if the landing pads were meant to retract up inside this housing, which I believe they were, but I never saw that on the series at all. Even though I saw some animations on YouTube where people have noticed that too, and they've made them retract up in there, and it makes sense, but it looks a little odd since I've never seen that before on the show. So there is a person, I've seen him list these before, where they actually had real working suspension, but it's like, I think if I read his listing, or you can Google it, it's like 24 parts, and the springs and metal tubes have to be sourced, and I mean, it's a cool idea, but we're only talking about a movement of about, maybe on this big a model, a half inch. I don't even know if it's worth it or not, It would be cool to have an actual working one, but it's somebody, that's going to like increase the price quite a bit to have something like that. And I haven't seen his listing for a long time, so I don't know if he's still doing it. The only thing is about these is that, of course, the reason they made them like this, these are robust. They can stand up to some punishments. You don't want to step on one of these. And these are going to be more delicate. But of course, we're not exactly, being rough with these like we did when we were kids. So I dropped one of these and it stayed together the other day. And they hold the Eagle up just fine. I try to make them as strong as I can, but I wouldn't get really, really rough with it, like simulate a crash or anything, because they are, of course, more delicate. But at the same time, I'm not worried about them breaking or anything. It's just that with the structure, we just maybe be a little bit more careful, but they're definitely worth the extra care as far as the looks. Thanks for watching, and these are available on eBay. I'm going to open my own website up soon. Had some family health problems, and then I'm also going to reopen my Etsy shop because it looks like they've got some issues resolved at Etsy. So these will be available on eBay, Etsy, and soon, and then eventually a website. Thanks for watching.